fate of humanity now rests on the shoulders of one man. Patrick Skora, Earth's most skilled diplomat, knew this simple truth as his shuttle docked at the Galactic Council headquarters on Raxus Prime, the humid jungle world that the mighty Saurians called home. He had been summoned here, light years from the nearest human settlement, to represent his species in a trial that would determine its future. The Saurians, the eldest and most advanced race in the galaxy, had formally accused humanity of being an existential threat. In their scaly eyes, the rapid technological progress and relentless expansion of the human race over the past century, since their first interstellar flights, could have only one conclusion: the subjugation of all other sentient life as humanity spread like a plague across the stars. Patrick stepped into the grand celestial courtroom, a massive chamber of polished stone and gleaming metal, and faced the being who would lead the case against his species. Chief Prosecutor Kaid, a muscular reptilian creature with piercing amber eyes, looked up from his holoscreen and smiled, a smile filled with sharp teeth. "Greetings, human," Kaid hissed softly. "Your sus species has much to answer for. The evidence against you is irrefutable. Your aggression and recklessness will be your undoing." Patrick met the Saurian's gaze coolly. Every sapient race has stumbled on the path to the stars. Humans seek only cooperation, trade, and mutual progress with the galactic community. I'm confident that will be proven here. But as Kaid began outlining his case before the assembled alien delegates, Patrick felt a creeping unease. The Saurian spoke of old Earth wars, of rapid human colonization of new worlds, of the unnerving speed of human technological advancement. He twisted each point to make humanity look like a pack of bloodthirsty warmongers on a quest for galactic domination. Patrick countered as best he could, bringing up the many human inventions and scientific breakthroughs that were even now uplifting other races, the trade ties and defense pacts between human worlds and alien empires. But his arguments seemed to gain little traction. The mood of the council was against him, that much was clear. The consequences, if that mood prevailed, were dire: sanctions, travel restrictions, perhaps even a forced quarantine of all human worlds. Humanity would be cut off, surrounded by hostile aliens, left to wither on the galactic vine. Patrick could not, would not, let that happen. But as the trial adjourned for the day, with all the momentum in the prosecution's favor, the human diplomat was uncertain that he could stop it. The words that had served him so well in the past seemed inadequate here. He would need a new strategy, something clever and daring, to turn the tables and save humanity from ruin. Patrick returned to his quarters, his mind racing. He had to find an answer. Failure was not an option. Patrick's heart raced as he stared at the holoscreen, the damning evidence of Saurian duplicity glowing before his eyes. His hands shook slightly as he removed the data chip, knees going weak with the implications. The trial, this whole charade, was nothing but a distraction, a way to keep humanity off balance while the Saurians prepared for war. He took a deep breath, trying to steady his nerves. He had to think, had to plan his next move carefully. The chime sounded again, more insistently this time. The council was waiting. Patrick straightened his suit and strode out of his quarters, the data chip tucked securely in his pocket. As he entered the celestial courtroom, the murmuring of the alien delegates fell silent. All eyes turned to him. Eladrin gestured for Patrick to take his place. "The council has reached a decision," the ancient being intoned, "but before we deliver our verdict, the human diplomat has requested to address the assembly once more." Patrick stepped forward, his footsteps echoing in the sudden stillness. He could see Kaid's eyes narrowing, could feel the weight of the galaxy's judgment upon him. "Esteemed members of the council," Patrick began, his voice ringing out clear and strong, "I come before you now not to plead for humanity's innocence, but to reveal the truth behind this trial." He held up the data chip, the tiny device suddenly seeming to hold the weight of worlds. "I have here evidence that the Saurian Empire, even as they accuse humanity of aggression, are themselves planning an invasion of human space." The courtroom erupted in shocked exclamations and angry denials. Kaid leapt to his feet, his scales flaring with rage. "Lies!" he hissed. "The human speaks lies!" But Patrick stood firm in the face of the outcry. He inserted the data chip into the courtroom's hollow projector, and the Saurian battle plan sprang to life above the assembled delegates. "Behold the truth," Patrick said grimly. "The Saurians seek not justice, but conquest. They aim to exploit our past to justify their own aggression." He turned to face Eladrin directly, his gaze unflinching. "I ask the Council to consider, if the Saurians truly believe humanity to be a threat, why not simply contain us? Why this elaborate deception?" Eladrin leaned forward, his ancient eyes glittering. "You suggest the Saurians have ulterior motives?" "I do," Patrick replied. "I believe they fear not our aggression, but our potential. They see in us the same drive, the same hunger for knowledge and expansion that once drove them. And they fear that we may one day surpass them." Keed snarled, his claws flexing. "Baseless speculation." But Patrick could see doubt creeping into the eyes of the other delegates. He pressed his advantage. "The Saurians claim we are a threat to the galaxy," he said, his voice rising with passion. "But I say it is they who threaten the very principles this council stands for. They seek to condemn us for their own sins, to deny us the chance for growth and change that they themselves were granted." He spread his arms, encompassing the entire assembly. "I ask not for favoritism or leniency, but for fairness. Judge humanity by our actions, not by the Saurians' fears. Give us the opportunity to prove ourselves, as the Protheans once did for them." Patrick's words hung in the air, the silence that followed heavy with tension. He could see the counselors exchanging glances, could practically hear the gears turning in their minds. Then Eladrin spoke, his voice heavy with solemnity. "These are grave accusations," he said. "If true, they change the very nature of these proceedings." He turned to Keed, his gaze sharp. "What say you, Chief Prosecutor? Can you refute this evidence?" Keed's scales rippled with barely contained fury. "The evidence is fabricated," he ground out, "an obvious ploy to distract from human guilt." A deafening explosion rocked the celestial courtroom. The floor bucked beneath Patrick's feet as he stumbled, ears ringing. Alarms blared, their urgent wails piercing the chaos. Patrick's vision swam as he blinked away the disorientation. His eyes widened as Cade's massive form loomed over him, scales gleaming in the flickering emergency lights. "Your species is finished," Cade snarled, baring razor-sharp teeth. "I will execute you myself as an example to any who dare resist Saurian rule." Heart-pounding, Patrick's hand closed around a jagged shard of debris. As Cade lunged, Patrick slashed upward with all his strength. The makeshift weapon bit deep, opening a gash across the Saurian's face. Viscous green blood oozed from the wound. Cade roared in pain and fury. His powerful tail whipped around, aiming to crush Patrick's skull. A barrage of energy blasts lit up the chamber. Keed recoiled as plasma bolts scorched the air around him. "Skora, move your ass!" a gruff voice bellowed. Patrick scrambled toward the source of the voice. A squad of human marines poured into the room, their weapons spitting death at the Saurian guards. At their head was a scarred veteran, Captain Ramirez. "Secure the package," Ramirez barked to his troops as Patrick reached their position. A bone-chilling cry cut through the din of battle. Cade rallied his warriors, leading a vicious counterattack against the human forces. As the two sides clashed, Patrick spotted the judge's fallen hollow transmitter. Still functional. He dove for it, fingers flying over the controls. "This is Patrick Skora," he broadcast on all frequencies. "The Saurians have betrayed us. Their fleet attacks as we speak. All human colonies and ships. This is not a drill. Full mobilization required immediately. Repeat, this is not a drill." Plasma bolts sizzled past Patrick's head as Ramirez's squad fell back under the Saurian assault. They needed more time. Patrick raced to a nearby control panel. With a silent prayer, he triggered the station's emergency protocols. Klaxons wailed as atmosphere vented from entire sections of the station. Cade and his troops were forced to halt their advance, sealing off compartments to avoid being sucked into the void. It bought precious minutes, but Patrick knew it wouldn't be enough. He linked up with the remnants of the human security detail. Their eyes were filled with fear, but also dedication. "Orders, sir?" one of them asked. Patrick realized they were looking to him for leadership. Him, a diplomat thrust into the role of resistance commander. The station shuddered again as the Saurian fleet's barrage intensified. Patrick took a deep breath. They were outnumbered and outgunned. But they had to hold out, had to give reinforcements time to arrive. "All right, people, listen up," Patrick said, his voice steady despite the fear gnawing at his gut. "We're all that stands between humanity and annihilation. We hold this station at all costs. For Earth." "For Earth," the troops echoed. As one, they turned to face the oncoming Saurian horde. The station shuddered under another barrage of Saurian fire. Patrick crouched behind a twisted bulkhead, his small band of fighters huddled around him. Acrid smoke filled the air, stinging their eyes and throats. "We can't hold out much longer," Captain Ramirez growled, ejecting a spent power cell from his rifle. "They're coming at us from all sides." Patrick nodded grimly. "We hold the line. It's all we can do." A deafening explosion rocked the station. Through the viewport, Patrick saw a massive shape emerge from hyperspace, the dreadnought Titan, pride of the human fleet. "Reinforcements!" a young Marine shouted, hope blazing in his eyes. On the bridge of the Titan, Admiral Katarina Rogue stood tall, her determined eyes fixed on the Saurian fleet. "Open a channel," she ordered. "This is Admiral Rogue of the UES Titan. Saurian forces, you are ordered to stand down and withdraw immediately. Failure to comply will result in your destruction." The view screen flickered to life, revealing Kai's scaled visage, eyes burning with hatred. "You dare threaten us?" he snarled. "Your arrogance will be your undoing, humans. We will crush you beneath our claws." The transmission cut off abruptly. Katarina's eyes narrowed. "They've made their choice. Weapons. Target the Saurian flagship. Fire at will." The Titan's main guns roared to life, unleashing a devastating barrage. The Saurian command ship vanished in a blinding flash, along with its escort vessels. On the station, Patrick stumbled as the shockwave hit. Kaid was thrown across the command deck, crashing into a bank of sparking consoles. Wind howled through shattered viewports, threatening to suck them all into the void. Kaid clung to a severed cable, scales rippling with fury. "All ships, regroup and attack! Destroy them all!" The space around the station erupted in chaos as the two fleets clashed. On the Titan's bridge, Katarina stood unflinching as enemy fire pounded their shields. "Target all Saurian capital ships," she commanded. "Maximum yield." One by one, the Saurian vessels were engulfed in nuclear fire, reduced to scattered atoms. In the ruined command deck, Patrick and his fighters found themselves face to face with Keed and his remaining troops. The Saurian leader's eyes blazed with madness as he charged forward. "For the glory of the Empire!" Kaid roared. Patrick ducked under a vicious swipe of Keed's claws, striking back with his makeshift weapon. Around him, humans and Saurians clashed in desperate hand-to-hand combat. A Marine went down, his throat torn out by Saurian fangs. Patrick drove his fist into a scaled face, feeling bones crunch beneath his knuckles. Blood, both red and green, splattered across shattered displays and torn wiring. The battle raged on, neither side willing to yield. Patrick's arms burned with exhaustion as he fought on, driven by sheer will to survive. Finally, the last Saurian fell. Patrick stood panting, surveying the carnage. Bodies littered the deck, human and Saurian alike. And there, impaled on a jagged piece of metal, was Keed. The Saurian commander's breath came in ragged gasps. As Patrick approached, Keed's eyes locked onto his. "This is not the end," Keed wheezed. "You've lit the fuse of a war that will consume us all. The galaxy will burn." Patrick watched as the light faded from Kaid's eyes. He limped away, the Saurian's final words echoing in his mind. Through the viewport, he saw the last Saurian ships jumping to hyperspace. They had won the battle, but at what cost? As he gazed out at the star-flecked void, Patrick couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of something far worse.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.